Martell Holt really thought he was slick out here, trying to clown Melody Holt. MMHM. He was laughing, throwing shade, acting like he had the upper hand. But baby, that little stunt of his. Oh, it has backfired in the worst way possible. And now, with the truth finally spilling out, social media is eating him alive. So grab your popcorn, pour that hot tea, because woo, this one is messy. Now listen. For those of y'all who may not be fully caught up, Martell Holt and Melody Holt's story is basically reality TV royalty when it comes to drama. These two were once the picture-perfect couple on Love and Marriage, Huntsville. They had the beautiful family, the business ventures, the spotlight, all of it. But behind the cameras, the cracks were already showing. Martell's cheating scandals. Chilly, they weren't just rumors, they became full-blown headlines. The affairs, the side baby, the lies. It was messy, and the fallout was explosive. And when Melody finally had enough, she did what a strong woman does. She walked away. The divorce was ugly, the custody battles were heated, and the shade they threw at each other on-screen and off-screen kept fans glued every single season. Now, fast forward, Melody has been out here thriving. She's been pushing her music career, growing her brand, staying booked and busy, and most importantly, being that rock-solid mom for her kids. Fans look at her as the definition of leveling up after heartbreak. She turned the pain into power, and Martell, well, let's just say his public image hasn't been the best. From getting dragged for his behavior, to struggling in his personal relationships. It's like every time he tries to rebuild, something else comes crashing down. And instead of just focusing on himself, what does he do? He keeps Melody's name in his mouth. Instead of moving forward gracefully, Martell always finds a way to take little jabs, whether it's in interviews, shady comments, or social media digs. It's almost like he can't stand seeing her shine without him. But this time, his little attempt at mocking Melody didn't land. In fact, it's come back to bite him harder than ever, and y'all, the way the truth just came out, it's got the whole internet buzzing. So here's where the latest mess kicked off. Martell Holt, instead of minding his business and focusing on his own lane, decided it would be real cute to mock Melody. And chilly, the way he did it, you could tell he was trying to hit below the belt. From what fans are saying, it started with some shade Martell dropped during a sit-down interview. You know how he gets smirking, throwing slick comments, trying to act unbothered but clearly pressed. He made little sarcastic remarks about Melody's success, hinting that she's not as big as she thinks she is. He even tried to clown her for moving on and shining without him, like her independence was somehow a joke. But he didn't stop there. Oh no, he had to take it to social media. Martell hopped online, cracking jokes, being sarcastic, throwing subliminals that everybody knew were directed at Melody. The captions, petty, the tone, straight messy, and honestly, people were sitting there like, Martell, sir, do you ever get tired of embarrassing yourself? Because let's be real, this is 2025. We've seen this storyline play out too many times already. Martell's laugh, the little smug attitude, the way he thought he was being clever, it all just screamed desperate for attention. He really believed folks were going to laugh along with him, like the audience would rally behind his petty moment. But baby, that is not how it went down. Instead of co-signing his little jokes, fans flipped the script on him. They weren't laughing at Melody, they were laughing at him. And the more he tried to double down on his sarcasm, the worse it looked. What was supposed to make Melody look small ended up making Martell look bitter, pressed, and stuck in the past. He thought he was delivering shade, but really, he was just shading himself. Now here's where things took a sharp turn. Because while Martell was busy trying to clown Melody, she didn't even have to lift a finger. That's the beauty of it. She didn't need to scream. She didn't need to drag him on camera. She didn't even need to match his petty energy. The truth did all the heavy lifting for her. The moment Martell started throwing shade, people began pulling out receipts. And baby, those receipts were stacked high. Fans on social media wasted no time digging into Martell's contradictions. Remember those things he said about Melody not being as successful as she claims? Well, people started rolling out clips, screenshots, and even articles proving the opposite, showing Melody winning awards, launching businesses, dropping music, and staying booked while Martell was out here still struggling to clean up his own image. And then came the leaks. Chilly. Martell's own personal drama started bubbling to the surface. Stories about his relationships, his inconsistencies, and the behind-the-scenes mess that he thought nobody knew about. Yeah, it all started trickling out. Suddenly, the same man who thought he was making Melody look bad was the one looking exposed. Now, let's talk about Melody herself. because the way she handled this was pure class. She didn't need to write a long dragging post. She didn't need to scream or curse. Instead, she threw a subtle clapback that spoke volumes. Whether it was a quick one-liner on Instagram, a confident picture showing her glowing and unbothered, or even just continuing to focus on her work while ignoring Martell's noise, her response was everything. It showed fans that she doesn't have to get down in the mud with him, because her success and her peace speak louder than any shade he could ever throw. And that's exactly why the tables turned so fast. Martell thought he was going to embarrass her, but all he did was remind everyone why she left him in the first place. Fans weren't laughing with him, they were laughing at him. The internet lit up with people saying things like, "Martell stays pressed while Melody stays blessed, and every time he comes for her, she comes out looking stronger." At the end of the day, Martell's petty little stunt backfired completely. Instead of Melody looking small, Martell ended up looking bitter, jealous, and stuck in the past. And the worst part, it wasn't even Melody who took him down, it was his own words, his own contradictions, and the truth that finally caught up to him. Now baby. The internet did what the internet always does, dragged Martell without mercy. The moment his shady little comments hit the blogs, social media lit up like wildfire. Twitter was on fire, Instagram was a circus, and Facebook groups, they were tearing him apart piece by piece. On Twitter, fans came out swinging with memes. You had people posting clown emojis every time his name was mentioned. One meme showed Martell holding a microphone with the caption, "Every time he speaks, he proves Melody right." Another viral post compared Martell to that one ex, who just can't move on no matter how much time has passed. The roast sessions were endless. Instagram wasn't any kinder. The Shade Room and other gossip pages were flooded with comments dragging him. People were typing things like, "Martell stays pressed while Melody stays blessed," and "Sir, she's glowing and you're groaning, move on." Others flat out called him bitter, with one user saying, "The divorce was years ago, but Martell's still acting like it happened yesterday." And let's not forget, Facebook groups dedicated to love and marriage, Huntsville, those fans don't play. Whole threads were dedicated to clowning him, pulling up his past mistakes, and reminding everyone that every time he tries to humiliate Melody, he just ends up humiliating himself. One fan wrote, "Every time Martell opens his mouth about Melody, he ends up embarrassing himself. When will he learn?" Another chimed in with, "The way karma works, Martell should have just sat there and ate his food." That comment alone had thousands of likes because people couldn't agree more. The general vibe across all platforms, people were done with Martell's antics. They were tired of the bitterness, tired of the shade, and tired of seeing him try to pull Melody down when she's clearly thriving without him. Meanwhile, Melody's support just grew stronger. Fans rallied behind her, praising her for staying focused, staying classy, and not letting Martell's negativity stop her shine. In fact, some fans even turned it into a celebration, posting collages of Melody's achievements, her glopes and her wins over the years. The message was clear. The more Martell tries to drag her, the higher she rises. And honestly, the way the internet united to clown Martell this time, he may think twice before running his mouth again. But knowing him, maybe not. And here's where the real gag is. Y'all, Martell truly believed that mocking Melody would somehow put him back in the spotlight in a good way. In his mind, he thought cracking jokes, throwing shade, and making little slick remarks would make him look powerful, witty, maybe even like he was still in control of the narrative. But chilly, the reality was the exact opposite. What Martell didn't realize is that every time he takes a jab at Melody, it doesn't make her look small, it makes him look pressed. Instead of proving a point, all he did was expose his insecurities to the world. Because let's be honest, when you're really winning in life, you don't have time to constantly talk about your ex. You're too busy enjoying your blessings. But Martell, he couldn't resist. And that's exactly why people called him out. The backfire was bad. Instead of dragging Melody down, Martell reminded everyone of why she left him in the first place. The cheating, the lies, the disrespect, all of it came flooding back into the conversation. Fans didn't see a confident man standing tall. They saw the same old Martell who still hasn't grown, still hasn't healed, and still can't move on. And here's the kicker, Martell wanted to clown, but he ended up being the clown. Social media had a field day turning his pettiness into punchlines. Every shady thing he said about Melody bounced right back onto him, making him look like the bitter ex who just can't let go. Instead of people laughing with him, the entire internet was laughing at him, and y'all know how the internet works. Once they smell insecurity, it's a wrap. The jokes don't stop, the memes keep coming, And the dragging only gets worse. Martell handed his haters the material on a silver platter. And they did not let that slide. At the end of the day, his little plan to embarrass Melody didn't just fail, it exposed him more than ever. The more he tried to dim her light, the brighter she shined. And the more he laughed at her, the more the world laughed at him. So when all is said and done, let's keep it real, Martell's little mocking moment didn't damage Melody one bit. If anything, it exposed him more than ever. Instead of making Melody look weak, he ended up showing the world just how bitter and insecure he still is. And the gag is, Melody didn't even have to lift a finger. The truth always finds its way to the surface. And this time it came out loud and clear. Melody is unbothered. She's strong. And she's out here shining brighter than ever. Martell wanted to clown her, but he ended up being the clown himself. And chilly, once the internet crowns you the clown, it's a wrap. You can't come back from that easily. But let me throw this question to y'all, because I know my comment section is about to get lit. Are you riding with Team Martell or Team Melody? Do you honestly think Martell will ever learn to keep Melody's name out of his mouth? Or is he destined to keep digging his own hole every time he tries to drag her? Go ahead and drop your thoughts down below. I'll be reading the comments and sipping this tea with y'all. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed today's breakdown, because it helps the channel more than you know. And if you're new here, make sure you subscribe and turn on those notifications, because baby, this drama isn't slowing down anytime soon. Trust me, this story is far from over, and when the next messy twist hits, you know I'll be right here to spill all the tea.